There's a bright light blinding my vision, and I have a flashback of my crossing to Terra. My foot lands on solid ground. I pass through the barrier unharmed! Exclamation point. I didn't realize it was going to be an excited thing. Gradually, my eyes adjust to the dim light, and I see that I'm in a cozy room. Oh, hello! You? Look at the puppy! I like the puppy, though. But she's almost naked. In the middle of the room is a fox, along with this animal beside her, who swishes its tail as it observes me. Beside it is a beautiful woman with flaming red hair. Her delicate hand rests atop of the fox's head. I don't think you need atop of. I think it's just rests atop the fox's head. You can say on top of, but I think if you're using the word atop, I don't think you need the of next to it. I don't think. As I look her over, her gaze lands on me. Who are you? Oh, she smiled! A little creepy. The woman blinks at me, then smiles. For a second, I think I see the flames lighting the room flicker, and a warmth permeates my body. It's pleasant, like an embrace. Although she holds my gaze, she doesn't speak. How did you get in here? Again, she remains silent, but this time she takes a step closer.
Who are you talking to?
Huh? I peek behind the woman and see Zack standing with an eyebrow raised and his arms crossed. The rest of my companions pause in their inspection of the room and stare at me. Kara stands beside an altar while Amelia and Liana are both kneeling by the fox. The fox accepts their attention, rhythmically swishing its tail, but otherwise makes no move to respond. Instead, it fixes its attention on me. So it's like the fox, the woman, but only I can see the fox's projection of the actual woman, because only the fox wants me to see the projection of herself, which is the woman. Or are they both separate things, but still only I can see the woman? I don't know, but the fact that the fox's attention is fixed on me makes me think that the fox is the woman and that I'm the only one seeing them both. I mean, it also would make sense in that regard that the woman wasn't speaking or anything, because the fox isn't speaking. I don't know.
Are you talking to the fox?
No. The woman between me and you. The super hot chick. I don't think they can see her. I'm gonna go with yeah. I fall silent as the group casts me worried glances.
Who exactly are you?
She was just like staring at me for a second because the game was loading. There's a woman dressed in red and she's kind of flamey and she's standing right there with her pet firefox. Liana looks towards the fox, but her eyes glaze right over the woman. She furrows her brows, concerned.
Okay.
Her voice is gentle, like she doesn't want to spook me. None of you guys can see her? The group collectively shakes their heads. I don't know why you guys can't see her, but I promise you, she's there.
Boy.
The Pongo hops out from behind my legs. He first examines the woman with partial interest, then he stares in wonder at the fox.
Boy?
The fox cocks its head to the side and observes the Pongo. The Pongo perks up and cautiously bounces forward. He pauses right before the fox. The fox's nose wiggles as it sniffs at the Pongo. Then it swishes its tail and the Pongo squeaks before running back behind my legs.
Boy.
What was that, Gary? Wait, do you see her too?
Boy.
Yes, yes he does. The woman giggles at the Pongo and gently pats his head. He shivers happily at her touch. Then she straightens up and takes a step closer. Her feet don't touch the ground and her skirt, if you could call it that, floats ethereally behind her. Instinctively, I back away.
What's going on?
She's getting closer. A lot closer. She pauses once she draws near and touches her palm to my forehead. A pulse of warmth flows through me before she retracts her hand. Do I have magic now? Do I have magic? As if something inside me clicked open, I feel invigorated with restored strength. The stronger I feel, the more translucent the woman becomes. Soon, she disappears. The Pongo stares at me with renewed interest. It reminds me of that same look he gave me when we first met. He licks his lips. Don't even think about it! The Pongo pouts and lets out a sad sigh. And there she goes bouncing again. Kara waves her hands in front of my face.
Hey,
Are you okay? You kind of zoned out there for a second.
Sorry, this super hot girl, like, just totally touched me. I think I'm fine.
What happened?
I'm not too sure.
Where's the woman now?
The woman is inside of me, which is not something people typically say. Actually, she's gone. Amelia reacts to my words by playing with her bracelets. She holds her manipulator up to me.
Curious. I may have a theory.
Go on. What is it?
All the energy which had accumulated here has now gathered within you.
Yes. I blink as it takes me a minute to register what she just said. Wait, I absorbed the energy? That can't be right.
As I mentioned, it is merely a theory.
Okay, well, you know, if you're gonna be so scientific about it, then you should know that theory is actually like a very strong word. You know, if we're talking in a loose sense of things, yeah, we might say, oh, it's just a theory. But like, scientifically, theories are big deal, you know? Leanna looks intrigued.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I felt it after she touched me. Leanna's eyes widen.
I wouldn't phrase it like that.
I would. Not in a weird way. She just touched my forehead and suddenly I felt a rush of energy. Amelia stares hard at me. Why are you looking at me like that?
I am merely anticipating the imminent reaction.
Reaction to what?
The high concentration of energy you just absorbed. The human body was not meant to process such large quantities of energy.
You don't seem too concerned by the things you're saying. Should I be in pain?
At least, that has certainly been the trend with someone from Terra.
Well, I'm not from Terra. Amelia's gaze bores into me as she emphasizes the word Terra. Then she looks back down at her manipulator.
Although, 2 minutes have passed, and there seems to be no sign of an adverse reaction.
Go me. Why does she sound so disappointed? Suddenly, Kara squeals as she gingerly picks a rusty coin out of the remains of a leather satchel.
This is a genuine Vestin coin!
Oh my gosh, not Vestin! That's like ancient. Zack glances at the coin and folds his arms, clearly unimpressed, because he can't use it.
How much could a rusted, outdated coin be worth?
About a few hundred gold pieces.
There's gold now! There's gold now! I don't know what that means! How does it relate to coins? What's the exchange rate? Zack's demeanor instantly changes.
You don't say.
Kara smoothly pockets a satchel as Zack covertly searches the room. As Kara finishes up her inspection of the room, Leanna looks around.
Well, since we found what we came for, we should head back.
Kara nods and leads the way out. As we leave the room, we notice the fire which had previously glowed in front of the barrier. As we leave the room, we notice the fire which had previously glowed in front of the barrier is now gone, but all of our items are still intact. Okay, well hey, one thing, cool, we still have our items. Second thing, should really, I think, put comma, I know I'm going there. I think you should really put a comma after fire, and after barrier. Because then it would be, we notice the fire is now gone, da-da-da-da-da. But then you also have the non-restrictive clause, which had previously glowed in front of the barrier. But that way, it just kind of eliminates some of the confusion. Because again, I had to like go back and reread it. You know, we noticed the fire which had previously glowed in front of the barrier is now gone. Because to say in front of the barrier is now gone, that's just kind of awkward all being together. But when you have the commas, again, separating that essential information from the non-essential information, it just makes it a smoother read. You know, there's less of that ambiguity. So yeah. Also, but again, yay, items. Hey, nothing was burned in here.
Curious.
You just had to be willing.
Then it can be assumed that the purpose of this trial was not to destroy our possessions,
Yeah.
but to test our willingness to sacrifice.
That's right. Kara happily scoops out her coin purse.
I'm not complaining.
Me neither. Leanna smiles in relief as she reaches in and quickly collects what looks like a ring attached to a thin chain.
Let's keep going.
The rest of us snatch up our items and continue back out of the corridor. The trek out of the temple is a lot faster and easier than the trek in, mostly because there were no more obstacles to stop us. We pop out of the same hidden wall in which we entered. Just as before, the main ceremonial hall is empty. We wave goodbye to the couple of monks sweeping the entryway, then begin to walk back to the village. But I thought that it was in the temple at the abundance of energy that we wanted to try to create the rift. I mean, did we have no plan going into that? Because we went in, I got the energy, and then we just left. Like, we didn't try anything. Kind of confused about the intent there. Ask Kara who the Vestans were. Ask Amelia what her theory about the mysterious woman is. I don't really feel like talking. I'll ask about Vestans. I fall in step with Kara. So, who exactly were the Vestans?
They were the original tribe of Ember Mist, and the initial keepers of the Fire Temple.
Oh. Did they build the temple? Kara shrugs.
It depends on who you ask. Some experts believe they did. Others think the temple was already there by the time the Vestans came about.
Interesting. Now I'm curious. How did you get into treasure hunting? She pauses just a little too long before flashing me her usual cheerful grin.
I just sort of fell into it, honestly. Treasure hunting naturally fit into my nomadic lifestyle.
I see. Where did you learn all the history to even identify relics?
You'd be surprised how much you pick up along the way, especially after you realize what a lucrative business this can be.
I believe it. So, you're just in it for the money?
I didn't say that. I'll admit that at first I was just in it for the money. But the more I learned about the ancient people of Asaria, the more invested I became in the history of each relic I found.
I see.
I started to find myself daydreaming about who might have used the items I found. What kind of person were they? Did they cherish this item, or was it just another piece of their ever-growing collection of stuff?
That's a cool way of thinking. You're more than meets the eye. Seems like a full suite. No, I like that. I like that. I've never thought about it like that before. Maybe if I had, I would have paid more attention in history class. Kara looks at me strangely.
Are you a treasure hunter too?
No.
But you sought out experts dedicated to history?
Something like that. It was less me seeking it out and more of a requirement I had to fulfill. Kara looks skeptical but doesn't pry. Ask Amelia what her theory about the mysterious woman is. There we go. I approach Amelia. So, that theory that you mentioned in the temple about the woman, what was it? Amelia glances at me.
Given the location and circumstances previously described by Alderism, my estimation is that the unknown woman you encountered was a projected image of the fire elemental. Of course, as I could not observe her myself, I cannot be certain.
Well, hey, projected image. I might have been right. That's pretty cool. Do you think that's why she wouldn't talk back? Also, why wouldn't she just show up in person?
The amount of energy needed to sustain just an appearance of the elemental would have drained the temple completely. There would have been no energy left for her to give to you.
Okay, so let's say that the fox was not the fire elemental. Well, how is there a fox just kind of living there? How is it sustaining itself? And why was no one surprised like to see it? Why did no one ask any questions? Is that why she disappeared right after?
The depletion of energy in the temple would have meant she'd no longer be sustained in this world.
Amelia looks thoughtful.
Although, it is quite unusual that she would have you absorb the energy to begin with.
I'm pretty special. I see. I had a feeling that was her. No wonder she was so hot. She actually exists? I mean, yeah, of course we have the feeling of her. I had a sneaking suspicion that was her. I mean, who else could it have been, right? Amelia nods.
It pleases me that you too have reached the same conclusion.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, thanks. I saw... my mind started to trail off into dirty thoughts, and I saw thanks, and so I just went with you're welcome as like an instinctive reaction. She looks thoughtful.
Still, it is quite perplexing that she would only reveal herself to you.
Oh, by the way, in case anyone was curious about the dirty thoughts, it was like, it pleases me that we reached the same conclusion. And the dirty, it was only as extreme as like, will you please me? You know, like something cheesy. Still, it was quite perplexing that she would only reveal herself to you. It's not just me. The Pongo saw her too, I think. He didn't really make it clear if he was seeing her or just the fox thing.
The Guardian.
Huh?
The fox would be the guardian of the fire temple. Each temple has its own guardian who protects it.
Yeah, how did this never come up in our discussion before we ever went up to the temple? I feel like being told about a guardian is kind of important. Oh. So, how come the guardian didn't attack us for breaking into the temple?
We did not break in. The guardian enforces the trial in the temple. Only those who are able to complete the trials are welcome into the temple.
Okay, do the traps count as part of the trials then? Or is that just the temple builders being dickish? Like, cause that's kind of going against the Guardian's wishes if the Guardian set up a trial and then everyone else is like, yeah, we're also gonna set up traps. Just in case we can kill a couple people along the way. In this case, that magical fire we had to put our... in this case, that magical fire we had to put our stuff in? Amelia nods, still deep in thought. Are you still trying to figure out why no one else could see the elemental? She nods again. Any theories?
As of now, I do not have one. But perhaps after some further research...
Sounds good. Her voice trails off as she falls back into deep thought. Kara, Zack, and Amelia lead the way back to Embermist while I lag behind. The Pongo sits on my head. Leanna notices my absence and falls into step with me. She pats the Pongo, who ignores her, still too focused on the energy around me. Leanna pouts, then shakes away the Pongo's disregardance of her and focuses her attention on me.
Something on your mind?
I drop my voice low so the others can't hear me. Now that I've collected the energy from the temple, that means that I can try to create a temporal rift and go back home, right? I still want to say temporal, but everyone in this game says temporal, so I'm trying to be like that. Kara stops, then whirls around to face us. Zack and Amelia stop with her.
Pardon me, you were speaking very softly and it was a little hard to hear, but it sounded like you just said you need to open a temporal rift to go back home?
Yeah, we're having a private conversation, Kara!
But that can't be right, can it?
No, you misheard, yeah. Jeez, this woman has got some supersonic hearing. I glance at Leanna, who looks alarmed. About that. Kara's smile falters at my hesitance, but Amelia looks excited.
I knew it. My hypothesis is correct.
Oh, did we not tell her?
Hypothesis? What hypothesis? My hypothesis that he is from a parallel world.
Oh, I kinda thought that she was in on that. I guess I forgot, or didn't realize. Leanna's eyes grow wide and she forces a panicked smile.
I think all this parallel world and temporal rift talk has been getting to you. I mean, Elder Isum said it's impossible.
He has already admitted it.
What? Leanna and I have been very careful not to say anything. When?
The day of our acquaintance.
I rack my brain but don't remember bringing that up around Amelia.
You sought out Professor Xavier's guidance, and after he imparted his advice, you and Leanna had a brief discussion in which you mentioned that what he had suggested was exactly what happened to you.
I wonder if this voice is hard for the voice actor, if it like uses a lot of breath, you know? Because I feel like she stopped a couple of times in order to like, and then go again.
Thus began my hypothesis that you arrived from a parallel world.
Leanna looks at me, unsure how to react. So I don't care. I guess there's no point denying it now. If our game of cheat is any indication, Amelia can see right through a lie. You're right. I'm not from Terra.
Not from Terra, huh?
Wait, you don't know either? Did only Leanna? I could have sworn other people. I just thought it was kind of common knowledge within the group. I mean, I knew that Kara didn't know, but I thought the other two did. Zag looks me up and down and nods to himself.
That's a lot better than the alternative.
What, being from Terra? What's the alternative?
That you might be unique.
I don't know what he means by that.
Zack!
I don't know what that means. He shrugs.
He didn't even know what a discharger was.
Are you just calling me stupid?
At least if he's from another world, that explains why he didn't know these things.
Alright, he's just calling me special. Whatevs. Kara looks skeptical.
How did he get here?
There have been unexplainably high concentrations of energy popping up throughout Isaria, and he happened to show up at one of those areas. We went to the Mage Academy to get some answers, and that's how we came up with the possibility that the high energy readings were temporal rifts, and somehow he had traveled through one. Why or how those rifts were even opened, we still don't know.
But if they're the only way for me to get back home, then I have to open one. Kara shrugs.
Let's just make sure you attempt to open one far away from where I'm standing.
That seems fair.
That might be tricky considering no one knows how to open one. We may need to talk to Elder Isum.
That won't be necessary. I know how to do so already.
Thank goodness for Amelia being here, am I right? We all stare at her. How do you know that?
The directions are located in Elder Ism's old research notes, which I had gathered from the Academy. The spell itself is a simple conjuration, which even an amateur can
Even
do.
an amateur. An amateur can open a temporal rift? Then why isn't everyone doing it? Because it takes an absurd amount of energy, Riz!
The impossibility of the spell comes from the fact that the human body cannot manipulate
Oh
the
my
amount of
gosh,
energy
Riz
needed
is so
for it.
annoying! She pauses, then points to me. Also, the character is not that annoying.
He may be an exception.
But he does miss things sometimes. I squirm slightly as their gazes fall on me.
Given that you have absorbed energy directly from the temple, which should also be an impossibility, I must assume that there is something within you which can possess the high amount of magic without suffering consequences.
Yeah, probably.
Perhaps it is a skill which you acquired from your world.
Yeah, maybe. My world doesn't have magic. Amelia blinks.
Regardless, only a short amount of time has passed. There is plenty of time for you to still internally combust.
Yep. A wave of unease makes my stomach queasy. Maybe I should open up this rift now before that has a chance to happen. Amelia grins with excitement.
I concur with that suggestion.
Good!
That may be the best now that you have the magic.
Zack shrugs and Kara takes a look at our open surroundings.
Maybe we should first look for a spot with a bit more cover. We don't want to be opening up rifts on an open pathway.
Fair enough.
Good point.
There was some tree cover towards the west.
We mumble our affirmations and follow Zack towards the trees. We settle into the grove of trees. Both Leanda and Amelia stand on either side of me. Zack selects a tree far enough away to not be affected by any stray magic, but close enough to get a good view of what's going on. Kara, on the other hand, hangs back towards the outskirts of the trees. Zack looks back at her, an amused smile on his lips.
You'll miss the show from back there. You sure you don't want to come any closer?
Kara's voice is distant.
Yep.
There's a bit of movement as she takes another step back behind a tree. Is she okay? Scoot yourself closer to her. Maybe. I guess this whole magic portal business makes her nervous. It's understandable, since she's not accustomed to magic like Leanna or Amelia. Just gotta wait sometimes. Amelia studies the notes, then nods to herself and snaps the book shut.
The casting is quite simple. It is the same technique as any other cast.
Okay, that's good. Leanna looks at me.
Are you ready?
I nod. Amelia glances at my stance, then frowns.
Your stance is incorrect. Straighten your spine.
Okay. I lengthen my spine and stand as straight as I can.
Now you are too tense. Keep yourself relaxed, but do not slump.
Okay. I release some of the tension in my back. She's about to speak again, but Leanna gently pulls Amelia to the side.
Okay, I think he gets it.
Do I, though? This might be important, actually. I'm okay if she's gonna nag me a little over this. She steps in front of me and gives me an encouraging smile.
Your stance is fine. Just remember to raise your arms in front of you.
Like a zombie? Like how? I do as she says and she nods.
Now, the actual casting part is gonna sound tricky. You'll need to focus your mind on the spell you want to cast.
Yeah, I've never cast a single spell in my life, so keep that in mind. So, I should just think about temporal rifts?
Yes, but you need to connect that thought with the magical energy.
Oh, that's easy, thanks!
Clear your mind of every thought.
Yeah, I can't do that. I close my eyes and push away all of my doubts and confusion and focus on Leanna's voice.
Now, think about the rift that you wish to create.
I imagine tearing a hole in the fabric of reality. I don't actually know what a rift would look like or feel like. All I remember is the bright light. Should I focus on that light?
At the same time, sense for the magic within you.
I try to sense for any kind of magic, but nothing feels out of the ordinary. How do I know where the magic is?
It'll feel like a tendril or willing warmth. When you find it, reach out for it and grab hold. The magic is eager to be used and will latch on.
Yeah. Focus on what Leanna says. I wish women were more like my magic. This is stupid. Focus on what she says. This is so abstract, but I know I can do it. I just have to focus. I turn within and regulate my breathing. This sounds very similar to meditation, so perhaps using the same technique will yield success. As my breathing becomes slow and steady, I open up my senses for any indication of another presence.
Once you find the magic, connect your thoughts of the rift with the magic, and then channel both the magic and the thoughts through your hands to cast it in the open.
Okay. I continue sensing, hoping to find even a hint of warmth. But how do I know if it's just my own warmth or the magic? Sweat beads on my temples as I strain to cast, but nothing happens. Eventually, my arms grow weary and my mind is exhausted. I decompress with a sigh. It didn't work.
It's okay, we can try again. People aren't usually able to cast on their first try.
I mentally groan. The idea of doing all that again does not thrill me. There must still be something I'm missing.
It just takes some getting used to. Plus, you're trying to cast without a manipulator.
That's true. Oh yeah, both you and Amelia use manipulators to cast. Maybe that's why I wasn't able to do it.
Well, the manipulator's function is to house the energy source for us to cast with. Technically, because you already have the energy within you, you shouldn't need a manipulator.
I see. Oh.
But this is all theory anyway. It may be easier trying to cast using a crystal, especially for a first-time caster.
Regardless, there could be a multitude of factors for why this attempt was not successful. One for which could be as simple as the fact that you still did not possess enough energy to open the rift.
I suppose so. I mean, if it's really just like an all-or-nothing kind of thing, shouldn't the temple have had enough? Do we have to trek to each of the 4 temples? Is that what this is going about?
Theoretically, perhaps.
Theoretically? Wait, no. Shut up. You shut your face. I'm putting my finger on her lips.
She was able to transfer what was left of the energy to you, which from my readings was only 20% of the total energy in the temple when we started.
Okay, I'm gonna have to reread all that. But did she say theoretically? Like theatrically? But theoretically? Theoretically? Did she say that? Did she say that to me? Theoretically, perhaps, but a significant portion of the energy was already being used to sustain the elemental's image. She was able to transfer what was left of the energy to you, which from my readings was only 20% of the total energy in the temple when we started. Suddenly, Kara is standing right beside us, as cheerful as ever.
That sounds like you all still need to explore some more temples.
I should also point out, 20% from this, there are 3 other main elemental temples, and then the Shadow Temple. That means a total of 5. 5 and 20, that's 100. 100%. Now I know that's not exactly what those numbers meant, you know, because it's not like, because that was 20% of the energy in the temple. That's not to say that 100% is exactly what I need for the temporal rift. I'm just saying that it happens to add up to 100, at least in that context. I jump at her presence. Even Leanna and Amelia seem surprised to see her so close. Only Zack is unaffected. How did you get here so fast? She grins at me.
Am I wrong?
The Pongo jumps out of Kara's arms and hops into mine.
Boy!
Hey, buddy! I pat him on the head and he wiggles contentedly, licking the air around me.
So it could be that he doesn't know how to cast, or that he doesn't have enough energy.
Sure, but what does that mean for you all in terms of next steps? Are you going to hang out in Ember Mist until he learns how to cast?
No!
It could take him weeks before he can even cast the simplest of spells. That is quite a long time to rely on someone else's hospitality.
It sounds like it would still be in your best interest to visit at least one more temple just to be sure you have enough energy.
No, I think so.
You can teach him how to cast on the way, so by the time he gets there, he'll be ready to go.
Leanna looks thoughtful.
That does seem like the better option than the alternative.
Yeah, I think so too. If it's the fastest way to get me back home, then I'm not opposed to having all our bases covered. Amelia nods.
That is the most efficient course of action. If we can mitigate any uncertain factors, then we can pinpoint where the weakness is and adjust accordingly for a successful cast.
Okay.
The research this will provide will be very informative.
Hearing Amelia's affirmation, Zack shrugs.
Since I'm here to protect Amelia, I go where she goes.
Fair enough. Kara smiles broadly and slings her arms around Zack and Amelia, much to their dismay.
Great. Then our arrangement is still on.
Hey!
Zack moves out of Kara's grasp. She smirks.
Most men would be thrilled to have a pretty woman hug them. Right, Amelia?
That is correct. A healthy physique is inherently attractive for potential mates.
Kara lets go and starts to lead the way out of the forest.
We should spend the night in Umber Mist. We can plan our next steps there.
Good plan. Once we are in agreement, we follow Kara back to Embermist. Trying to decide. Yeah, I think I am gonna call the session here. So I'm gonna save at this point. We'll do the quick save thing there. And then just to play it safe, we're also gonna save and load over this. Or save over that rather. Alright. So let's click again just to get some music going. Upon arriving, we head to the inn.
We can spend the night here. I'll meet you back down in the lobby in a few minutes.
I mean, I guess... Sorry, seeing this background and then hearing her say the lobby, I was like, what lobby? But I guess they did say back at an inn. So I don't think I have much else to say this time, at least compared to the last time, because I think I spoke a long time at the end of the last recording session, but I don't think I have much to say. So, I mean, we found Embermist, which proved to be super easy. I don't believe that it could be a hidden city, you know? Like, how does no one know where Embermist is? Or how do people think that it doesn't exist when it was that easy to get to? Like, we walked for 5 hours from a very popular city. We went through one forest, which it didn't seem to take that long, and it honestly wasn't that difficult. Again, the two things that happened were there was a caw of crows, and a torch went out because a gust of wind blew by. Literally nothing else that I can remember happened. Like, nothing else that was bad. So I just don't believe that kind of settlement like this, again, with how many people are there, with the importance that it holds, and with, again, how easy it is to get there, I just don't think that it would be hidden. Or, again, believed to be myth or whatever. That part was just kind of dumb. I mean, even when we thought that it was hidden, we showed up, and they weren't surprised to see us, and we weren't surprised to see them being, like, the guards, or anything like that. So it diminished the importance of that, and it just kind of seems like they really blew it out of proportion. Which is, yeah, you know. Like, they should have done more with it if it actually were a mythical city like that, and if it's just this, then they should have toned it down some. Like, I know that they used its kind of mythicness to kind of make Kara seem more important, or at least more capable, because it's like, well, she did find her way here on her own. She discerned it. It's discerned. So yeah, but aside from that, the fact that it's hidden didn't really play into anything so far. Like, you could have just had it be like, oh yeah, we know where it is, but it's through a forest that sucks, so no one ever goes there. Like, they could have just said that, you know? Like, there's a trial, but you can reach it. But whatever. The only other really big thing that happened, I mean, obviously we saw, like, the fire elemental and we got the power. But the biggest thing I'd say that happened this session is Kara appearing. And it's very early. It's very early. At least with her being there. But so far, I think she is my favorite girl. And it's not just because of, like, her dress or anything. I don't want people to get that idea. But she, you know, like, when I play Dungeons and Dragons or things like that, my favorite characters tend to be the rogues. Either because of, like, the dexterity, you know, because I like that kind of stuff, or especially because of the charisma. And so far, you know, so I like her appearance. Again, not just because of, like, the semi-nudity. And that's me being sincere. It's not just because of that. Does it help? Maybe a little. But I'm just saying, it's not because of that. But I also really like her personality so far. Like, I think it's fun. I think she has a pretty nice balance of, like, being playful and teasing, but without being, like a total wench about it. You know, like, there are definitely characters who it's like, they're just kind of douchey in the way that they interact with everyone else. But she seems like she knows her boundaries pretty well. Where she's bubbly and cheerful and does definitely play around with people, but, like, knows when to step back or when something's too far. That's how it seems so far. And at first, I thought that, like, oh, this probably isn't a good thing because people, like, the others are gonna freak out because she's gonna go and steal stuff and desecrate the temple. And she admitted that she's already been inside and, like, got rid of the traps, but everyone was just chill. No one gave a crap that we were going into the temple or trying to find our way through. Not even the monks. I really thought that was going to be an issue, but that was not a thing at all. Like, we were all totally down for her to help us out and to get through the passage. You know, she starts looting things in the final room. No one cared. Zach was good, like, he was looking for stuff to steal himself. And, you know, Leanna and Amelia, whatever, they're fine with it. So if they're fine with it, like, I'm fine with it. And what that means is that Kara right now is blameless. Like, again, we just met her, so I don't know about her past or whatever. But I just see no reason right now why we shouldn't like her. You know? Maybe that's just me. But that's, again, that's the only, like, big thing that comes to my mind. So far, the whole Pongo thing with the train, that hasn't come back yet. So again, I think that was just a weird part, because it's like, goodbye, Pongo, I'll miss you. Oh, you're here, and no one cares. Like, we're all happy to see him, but if it was, like, that much against the rules that we were willing to let our friend go and just leave him behind, we're just gonna accept the fact that he's back and then move right on along? That's weird to me. I don't know. Also, still a bunch of grammatical issues with the text, but, you know. And I'm still not pointing out, like, everything. So if that's any indication, yeah. But, yeah, I'm still enjoying this game. I'm trying to, yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, when I'm playing this or just thinking about it afterward, I do compare it to Ace Academy, because Ace Academy was pretty much the first visual novel I played, and this is pretty much the second. I say pretty much because I played Doki Doki Literature Club before this, but whether or not you actually consider that a visual novel, you know, it's a bit of a stretch. Like, I understand both sides, those who do and those who don't. Not only that, but again, Crystalline and Ace Academy are made by the same people, Pixel Fate Studio, and so I think it's a fair comparison. And in trying to think of which one I like more, again, it's hard to say because I'm still going through this one, and I think it's a little unfair to make any decisions ahead of time. Like, right now, I think that I'm enjoying the story of Crystalline more, but I think that overall I enjoyed the experience of Ace Academy more. And again, this is too early to make a definitive statement, but again, if I'm just saying things as I go along, and then later on I can look back and think, oh, so that's how I felt at that time. You know, that kind of thing. You guys too. Because, well, a big part of it for me, like, here, it's a story, and it's a nice story, and like I said, I think I am enjoying the story more here. But I feel like in Ace Academy, there was more interactivity, or that the interactivity mattered more. And again, maybe that was just because it was all an illusion there, but the illusion, they kind of played it out better. I don't know. I think a big part of it is just the fact that Ace Academy seemed to focus a lot more on relationships and relationship building, and here, not so much. Like, they're gradually introducing new girls, or new characters if you want to include Zach. I don't know if he would be a romanceable option. But it took forever, you know? Like, just the last session, after like a few hours of playing, we found Amelia, and she joined us. And then after like another hour or so of playing, like, we found Kara. But that's several hours into the game by that point. And so it seems kind of weird that romanceable options, assuming that is the case, that they're only just now showing up. And it's not like we have real choices here, you know? Like, when I want to hang out with so-and-so, oftentimes I get to do that, and then it lets me go back and pick the other thing, which meant that those weren't like essential choices. That was just, hey, here are the scenes that we made, feel free to watch them all. And like, that's fine, that's acceptable, but it kind of diminishes the importance of the choices that I make. And it doesn't feel as much like I'm working towards something, just as much as I'm like making my way through something, you know? Which again, I don't mean as entirely a bad thing, because it's like most stories or movies or whatever, you know? Like, you sit down, you watch a movie, you just enjoy the movie. You enjoy the presentation as it's presented to you. But with Ace Academy, I did at least feel like my choices often had an effect. And the fact that, you know, I would be given a number of choices, I'd pick one, and then the scene would move on from there, and it would at least seem to have some kind of impact, you know? It gave me more of the impression that what I was doing actually mattered. Whereas here, it doesn't really seem that way. Like, when I chose waifu, for instance, to throw... Again, I was trying to throw my phone into the fire. Then it showed, out of all the girls that were there, because by that point all 3 girls were there, it brought up Leanna. You know, like, if I had chosen my waifu, and then it had me, like the character, look back and then I got to pick between the 3 girls, that would be different. But the fact that it immediately showed Liana, it makes me wonder, like, are Amelia and Kara actually romanceable options? Or is it only Amelia? Or, sorry, only Liana? Is, like, a romance with Liana, 1, is it even possible? But 2, if it is possible, is it just built into the story? Again, am I, like, just a passenger coming along for the ride? Or am I an active participant in this, actually, like, molding the story? At this point, I frankly can't tell. Again, a lot of the decisions, it seems like I'm just going along for the ride. So it just makes it really different in that regard. So it's good that I like the story so far, because it does just seem like I'm watching a predetermined story for the most part. I'm just playing through it. It doesn't seem like I'm actually having much of an effect on it. If I replayed it, and I chose completely different options, maybe I would feel differently. But right now, it just seems like I'm watching the story. Whereas in Ace Academy, it felt like, at least, that I was more important kind of in the decision making, you know, where the decisions I made actually changed the course of things. So just different experiences so far between my playthrough of Crystalline and my playthrough of Ace Academy. But again, I don't know how long Crystalline is as a game, so I don't know like how far through we are. Again, I think we have to go through each of the temples, so we still have Earth, Wind, and Water, and then Shadow. We might even go through Shadow, so that's still 4 potential temples. I don't know how long it's going to take to get to each one, if we are getting to each one, and then I don't know if there's going to be like story after that point. But it seems like the game has potential to last quite a bit longer, so they definitely could give us more opportunities to sort of court the girls, or at least to learn more about them, to make different decisions, to maybe have branching paths, I don't know. But right now it seems pretty one way. And if it does eventually start to branch, it seems like that's a risky move just because you have to play through so much of the game before you're actually given that option. So I don't know. I mean, even during my first session, I was starting to get a little skeptical in that regard because we had only met Liana, and then we finally met Zach, and then no one. And so it's like, how far do I have to go before I meet the other cast? Like, you know? Anyway, I actually did talk a lot longer during this section than I thought I would, so I hope you guys enjoy these little ramblings at the end. Again, I enjoy giving my thoughts on things, so I hope that it's a mutual kind of enjoyment here. But thank you guys again for watching, and with that, we're calling it here. Cue outro, go!